Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Triforce podcast, a regular style.
That's
right.
Regular style.
Inferior, as some people.
What?
No one said that.
I'm only joking.
Okay.
I've been up to something interesting this week.
Can we guess?
God, he is so excited, like he cannot even hold himself back.
Yeah, he literally ran in, sweating, very happy.
I went
to tell
on
us
a
about it.
board game
Oh, okay.
retreat. You don't.
I was
want
gonna
to
say,
the
let
board
us
game
guess.
retreat.
You don't want to guess.
I love
It's
to
fine.
guess. Editor, cut it so it sounds like I'm a genius. Did you go on a board game retreat?
Wow, God, well guessed. I can't believe you.
So good.
How did you know?
Oh, I'm just a genius.
But the thing is, the audience wouldn't be impressed because they understand that we do talk to each other and have a vague knowledge of what each of us are doing and send pictures to each other sometimes.
That's true.
There were 12 of us. We rented a Airbnb in Hereford.
12 of the coolest dudes ready to spend a weekend playing board games.
Oh my God.
It kind of was cool dudes. I felt like I was in cool dude company.
Well, that immediately red flag right there.
They were nice people.
I have
Mostly
no
sort
doubt.
of content creators and stuff.
If you're the coolest dude in the room, maybe you're in the wrong room.
Wow. And we had a dog as well. It was a bit of a nightmare journey because I was like, "Oh, can you just give me a lift?" to my friend. He was like, "Oh, sure, there's room." And of course, when he's got a small little car, like a VW bug thing, and it's like 4 of us plus the dog plus our luggage plus all the board games plus the food. It was like 2 hours of driving with me having stuff on my lap and stuff everywhere. I couldn't move. That's how full the car was.
God.
It was insanity.
Yeah, that's not fun when you're jammed in like that. It really is.
Good thing I didn't have
ruins the whole
claustrophobia
journey.
because I was like, I could handle it, but it was insane. You know, if like the car had a crash, you know, they could have been like digging through stuff to get me out there. It's mental. And we rented like a nice farmhouse where everyone parked up, and they just got started straight away playing board games. Like
Did anything crazy happen? Like, were there some like great like table flips? People just losing their minds.
Not really.
My horse fell into a bog. Fuck this. The table flips and all the pieces go flying everywhere. And
when you rent a place like this, it's usually sort of 12. It sleeps 12, but 2 of them are in the lounge, 2 of them are in the, camp beds or whatever. You know,
you
it's
guys
all a
slept?
Yeah, we stayed there for like 3 nights.
You guys just sort of stayed up like the whole time, just going crazy, like pounding back energy drinks and playing board games.
Some people were doing that, yes. But I went to bed at like midnight because I'm on a reasonably decent schedule. But of course, no one else did, and so they were all up till 2 or 3 in the morning, making noise while I'm like there. Like,
did you have to shush them a couple of times?
Did you come down and say, "Could you guys keep it down, please? Some of us are trying to sleep."
No, I just put my like earphones in, and I was like, fine. But it was good. There was one moment I want to tell you about that was a bit weird, just because I thought it would be interesting.
Okay, no, please
share this story.
You don't need to set it up. You just tell us. We're here to listen, baby.
So we're playing this game. We're in the middle of a game, and the girl across from me like gets a phone call, and she goes like white.
Uh-oh.
Okay, and she stands up, and she's like, "Oh my God, okay," and so she steps away for a second, and like is chatting on the phone, like quite like kind of seriously. Anyway, she makes a phone call and then like starts laughing. And I'm like, okay, what's gone on? And so basically, she received a phone call from her mother saying that her sister had been kidnapped.
Oh,
was being held
Jesus.
hostage. Okay?
Jesus Christ.
And so her mother was like, I don't know what to do. We've received a phone call from them. They want this amount of money delivered to this place. They want us
this is a thing that actually happened. This isn't a joke.
So this is a thing that happened to me, yes.
This is insane. All right, go on.
Well, that didn't happen to you.
Well, no, this is the thing that I'm telling you what happened.
Proximate.
Right. You were there when this was happening to somebody else who was kidnapped.
Very good alibi, Lewis. Very good.
So, hang on. So
I was in a car crash. I saw it happen safely from the side of the road.
She receives a phone call. She was a phone call from her mom and dad who were freaking out, and she's like, your sister's been kidnapped. She's been held hostage. We need to send some money. We don't know what to do. We don't know if she's, we don't know if we need proof of life or all this stuff. They're going into all this weird like stuff, right?
A little finger off the left hand. That's what.
Oh my God, exactly. And so she, obviously, as a very smart woman and board gamer, is like, have you tried calling her? And the parents are like, no. And so she's like, let me do that. So she called her sister, and her sister picks up, and she's like, have you been kidnapped? And she's like, no. And it's like, okay, it's a scam then. Okay, let's call my parents back and reassure them that it's a scam. So she calls her parents back. tells them that the sister's fine. You know, it's
didn't
not
think
she has
to
to
call.
be
How
kidnapped.
are you open to that? I've never had a scam like that before. How is that? How does it?
Well, here's the
How does
thing.
one receive such a scam? Like that is an insane scam.
Well, but apparently though,
They must
they
have a lot
played-
of malware on their computer or something. I don't know what's
So
going on.
here's the
Like,
thing. Apparently, they played some of her voice down the phone, and
Huh.
either it was like an AI thing, or like a fake thing, or like a muffled thing, or whatever. Like I don't know whether this is a common scam or like a new one.
I've not heard
Like,
it before.
you know,
How did they
but
get
they-
her voice? I wonder.
They absolutely like fell for it.
Do you know what it is? You know what I
Jesus.
bet it is? Is
They,
this-
they had like they had already like almost sent the money as well. That their first installment of the money that they
the
wanted.
thing
Like
is,
they were
there's
that
all
far
these
along.
apps. If you think about it, there are tons and tons of apps that say you have to give us permission to access your microphone and your speaker and all the rest of it. So you could easily have an app that just hoovers up people's voices and it'll say like, please give us access to your contact information. And then that app developer automatically can have a recording of your voice. And most people save their parents as mum or dad. So you just see mum and dad, and you call them, play back a sample of the voice that you've recorded through this dog shit scammy app. Bingo bango, you've got a potential payoff.
maybe
I
that's
honestly
what's
think that's what it
happening
is.
in America right now with like all the, they're gathering all the data and the AI. Hello, Elon. I would like to resign. I got it on tape. He wanted
He
to be
wants out.
fired.
Yeah.
Send it over. Trump is like, oh, I've received a message.
Elon, I hope you're safe. I got a message that said there was a ransom.
Dear Mr. President, I would like to resign.
Oh,
my
Lulu,
God.
I've had a thought. Do you want to start Craigbot just in case?
Oh, what, in
Yeah, my
case-
computer
yeah.
has been really, it's been crashing a lot recently.
twice. I have blue screen twice in the last week.
I think it's the Windows update. I've had the same
I think it's
issue.
with, are you guys using NVIDIA graphics cards?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have this thing where, we can talk about this on the podcast. It's
Yeah,
probably
sure.
kind of interesting. I've been having this issue where every once in a while, like yesterday, it happened 4 times. Sometimes it doesn't happen, and other times it just happens all the time. Yesterday, I was trying to stream, I was trying to do stuff, happened like 4 times. My monitors like turn off, and then the fans on my graphics card just go like full speed. But
Yeah.
I have to just like hard turn off my computer and turn it back on again. It's
Oh, I got a
annoying.
similar thing.
It's almost
that I
always
sometimes
that there's
get.
been some driver update, and it's like Windows and whatever the driver is are not cooperating properly.
Yeah.
Because I've had this before where I'll update my graphics drivers and my computer starts fucking up and crashing and being shit.
Yeah.
And then 2 weeks later, it's magically fixed.
Yeah.
And it's like there was some
well,
Windows update or some other update.
I definitely
It's
had
annoying.
there's definitely been a couple of Windows updates recently, but what I did yesterday was I uninstalled all my graphics drivers and reinstalled them, and it seems more stable. Touch wood. It hasn't crashed since, but
Good.
who fucking knows?
Yeah, I know.
At the same time, like, geez.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there we go.
Oh, here, I wanted to read you guys this from the previous episode. I always like to read the comments on the Triforce and read what the haters
Where are
and
you
the-
reading these comments?
YouTube.
Oh, okay.
Because, people comment on the fact sometimes that we don't get as many views on YouTube as we used to. But I think a lot of those views are, first of all, I don't think we used to upload to as many like podcast platforms.
I feel like a lot of our people listening are doing it through like Spotify and stuff.
100%.
now.
Yeah. And like Apple Podcasts and all the rest
Yeah.
of it. So,
I mean, we upload it to these platforms for convenience. We don't prefer Spotify. I think they don't pay us. They
Right.
don't give us
No.
anything extra for it. Like it's not like we're getting anything out of it. We just provide it because it makes it easier. Some people actually do prefer to listen on YouTube because they have the whatever premium and it can play in the background and it's just convenient. So
Yeah.
it's entire. There's no reason for it.
yeah, we bosh it on a bunch of platforms. But so this guy commented, P-Flax talks a lot of shit considering he lives in a slug mansion and makes his dog eat out of a bowl of slugs.
Nice. Holy crap, the secret's out. How did he know?
I have had multiple legit crazy emails lately. Like,
Oh,
I've had
dude.
3.
Yeah,
they
me
come
too.
along in groups.
They do.
And I don't want to really
Don't
talk about
name
them
any
because
names, please.
I'm not going to name any names, but like I've had a couple of emails just from the that don't make any sense.
I know.
They kind of they start off like sounding like a fairly normal email, but then they take a right turn, almost like, and start talking about something completely else.
Really
right?
weird. Yeah.
I've had some really weird ones too recently. Like I got one the other day, and it was like, "Dear Mr. Lovis, this is our final warning. You must pay your taxes." And I was like, "What the hell are you talking about? Taxes?
Do I live in a communist country?
This is a fucking tax haven. I mean, come on."
I thought Donald Trump was president.
I haven't had any weird emails, luckily. I'm not with you guys on this one. It's been all quiet on the western, eastern, northern, and southern front for me. Nothing.
I've had a lot of weird emails, and it's not that, like, I think they just come along in. Maybe I always get weird emails. I obviously always get the emails from people who purport to be fans and maybe are fans and write in, or at least have heard of us and are working for some marketing agency now where they say, "We can grow your KPIs 10% using this website integration. We're using this SEO optimization for Yogcast." It's constant, businessy sounding emails that provide any number of service. That's the thing. It's like it's a crapshoot. They will provide. The first one, they'll provide financial services. The next one, they'll provide this service that your business isn't doing. And they go through and I wonder if they are just looking to hit that coincidence where you're like, oh, I was meaning to sort out that.
Yeah.
And there's an email from a guy who appears to be a fan. It's kind of, but it's not. Because it's not quite.
You have to have a really
right?
strict filter, like more strict than ever these days. It's a crazy internet out there now, isn't it?
The one that annoyed me, I emailed the guy back. He emailed me and said, "Hey, Peepax, thanks for responding to my previous message. I'm ready to push ahead with this now. Call me when you can." And I looked, and I'd never had an email from this guy before. And I replied and said, "You must know that this is our first time ever communicating. Why would you open with a lie?" And he goes, "Oh, just trying to get your attention. Can you talk now?" And I was like, "No, fuck off. Like, how fucking dare you make out that trying to confuse an old man into thinking he's forgotten a conversation."
This poor old man, it's easy to trick.
Yeah, leave the old man
You've got
alone.
my wife held hostage? Oh my God.
I'll give you my credit card details, whatever you need.
Oh my God.
Come in here,
Wait
Mrs.
a
Flax. You're
minute.
being held hostage.
Dad, this is Susan. I have been kidnapped.
Oh my God, Susan, this rattlesnake is kidnapped Susan. Oh, hold on, wait a minute. The ultimate confused old man.
Oh, man.
Talking to old men, I was watching some old war movies on YouTube.
Yeah. Which one?
Oh, just like clips from a whole bunch of them.
Oh, okay.
There's a channel, like I clicked one video and all of a sudden now I've got a bunch. You know how it is. So I was looking at them and it's this were war movies made in like the 50s and the 60s. A lot of the guys in these films were actually in the war.
Yeah.
And I thought, it's kind of wild to think that you're making a movie about the horrors of war. There was no thought of PTSD or trauma or anything like that.
No.
These guys were just straight back out there pretending to bayonet people. But they must be thinking,
it was a different time.
This isn't how we did it. Yeah. But if you look at the way that they run and shoot and act, you can tell that they actually know what they're fucking doing.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
In the 70s and 80s, the people that were in war movies didn't look anything like, apart from like there were some Vietnam veterans, but I don't think they made war movies very much. I know Oliver Stone was in Nam and then made Platoon, but if you look at something like Full Metal Jacket, I don't think anyone in that apart from Arlie Ermy was actually a veteran.
No, but they do have, I think some of those movies had basically like people who were military or were in a war and they were like
advisors,
like advising,
yeah,
like trying to keep it real, like or somewhat,
100%. But the thing is, I feel like if you watch a movie with I know a lot of people say there's a series called Generation Kill, which is I think it's an HBO
David
series.
Simon. He did The Wire as well. That was his next project.
So it's
after
about Iraq, the invasion of Iraq. And apparently, certainly for American servicemen who've spoken about it, that's the most realistic version of what it was like being there. And I feel like a lot of war movies, especially when it's done with actors who've never been anywhere near anything, and it's written by people who are just like fantasists rather than actual people who know what they're talking about, is their view of war is completely different. If you watch Generation Kill, there's a lot of people just fucking about, being bored. Some of them are insane. they're really not that troubled by what they're doing. And, they're more pissed off with the madness of how this all hangs together. I thought it's funny to think that those classic war movies in the 50s, the post-war generation that made loads of fucking war movies. I mean, there's tons. There are tons and tons and tons of them.
Some of them were meant to be kind of like propaganda things as well, though. They were meant to
but
boost.
after the war, you didn't need it.
Well, I think it
Or do you mean
boosted a
Cold
lot
War?
of like spirits and cohesion and stuff like that. Like, look at us, we won, we're the best. I think there was some importance in some of that as well.
Yeah,
But
maybe.
yeah, they're different movies. They're different types of movies. Like, they should almost be in their own category. They're completely different.
Well, they're bad at showing the real age of the actual soldiers, right? Because a lot of the soldiers are very young.
Yeah.
And war movies, certainly those filmed in the 50s and 60s that used real soldiers, they were in their 40s by then.
Yeah.
And as a result, it's like that's the picture you get. You get a picture of a war veteran as a 40-year-old man.
Yeah.
When actually it's a 20-year-old.
A 22-year-old man. Yeah.
Yeah.
But so,
I think
that's the thing. Generation
difference.
Kill, they were all very young. Like, pretty much everyone in it looked like just a big kid.
Yeah.
That's exactly, and that's why that's more, I think, realistic. And but again, it's a Hollywood thing where viewers expect them to be old because that's what they've been culturally
you
grounded
expect
with,
like
right?
40-year-old Tom Sizemore, like as your, that's what every soldier looks like. But no, you're right.
Yeah.
It's kids. They are young kids.
I mean, I think that's what Black Hawk Down did very well, was give the idea that these are just boys. They're not like men. They're just large boys that are being sent out to fight.
We're sending our large boys out this time.
Round up the biggest boys.
Get the biggest boys you can find and slap some guns on them and send them out.
These boys aren't big enough. Wait a minute,
Big boys.
We need bigger boys. God damn it! That's why we're getting our asses kicked. If there's any huge women out there, get them too. Another thing I was thinking about. I watched a video about like the history of Dungeons and Dragons a little bit. I didn't.
Oh yeah.
And I was just, seeing those guys. Like, I want you to close your eyes. Okay, Lewis, I know you have what is it, aphantasia or whatever, so you can't imagine stuff. You can keep your eyes open. Make notes if you need to. I want you to imagine a story set in the 1970s, early to mid 1970s, and a bunch of guys are at college and they invent something like Dungeons and Dragons. All right, this is not the case. I just want you to imagine that this setting. Now, picture in your mind what those guys look like. They're all incredibly skinny. They've got like weird 70s haircuts.
Yeah,
they've got those massive glasses.
Like the guys from The Big Bang Theory, pretty much.
I don't know what those guys look like.
Well, just just do a Google image search for Big Bang Theory, and you'll see a bunch of people who look like they're from the 70s. But I'm pretty sure the show takes place in like the 2000s.
No,
so
these
they've
guys
got
look
like
way
red
more 70s.
turtlenecks and like big moppy hairs and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, so that kind of stuff. But they're like that 1970s skinny guy. Some of them have mustaches and they're like grinning, huge glasses, like glasses that cover half of their face.
Like Deidre Barlow glasses.
Exactly.
Sure.
So that's those guys. And I was thinking the other day, when you're like, I guess they were like 20 or whatever, you're coming up with the different classes and stuff for D&D. And there was no sort of template for thief, cleric, warrior, wizard, barbarian.
No, it was all like loosely
ranger.
based around like Tolkien stuff, though, wasn't it?
I guess. So it was kind of Tolkien. But Gandalf wasn't like a weak and feeble guy. He was strong and fought with his sword. And
but he gave the illusion of being a weak and feeble guy. But when the brown stuff hit the fan, he was ready to catch it all. Yeah.
But I just think it's funny that in that game, it's very hard to be strong and smart. So if you want to be strong and big, you have to be stupid. And if you want to be intelligent, of course you're skinny and weak. And I just thought that was such a single-minded way of seeing it. And it just made me think these guys were massive nerds their entire life, and they saw all the jocks and everything. They're like, well, they may be big, but they've only got 8 intelligence, whereas I have 17 intelligence.
Right.
They basically made themselves feel powerful by coming up with a way to be powerful without actually getting any girlfriends. That was it. It's just a throwaway thought. Probably not even worth bringing up.
Yeah.
Well, no, but you're right. Like in a sense, it doesn't take much to get someone who is the Superman, like that guy who was trained as a doctor and then went in the army and became a, like, I don't know, he fought in a war, then became a doctor, and then also went into space as an astronaut or whatever. He did the whole thing, right?
Right.
Like some legendary guy. Like, oh, you could be like, I don't know, Simon Clark. You can be good looking and have a PhD and write a book.
Sorry, I think you mean Dr. Simon Clark.
Doctor, exactly. And he's, you know, he's like a superhero, right? He could fight a war. He could shoot someone, I reckon, if he wanted to.
You reckon he could shoot someone?
I don't know if he would be shooting someone.
But do you know what I mean? A good specimen of a man, right?
Yeah, I think
everything.
He would be more like the kind of guy who would do like a good faith debate, you know?
I think if he wanted to be a bodybuilder, he's the kind of guy who could make a little YouTube video and it would say, you know, look at my 6-month body transformation where, you know, he put because he's the kind of guy who I feel would go through with something like that, you know?
Yeah.
And he'd get ripped if he wanted to, right? So I think in some sense, like the strength thing could be done by anyone with good willpower. But I agree. Like, it's a game though, P-Flax, right? You can't have it's sometimes in nature. Things you only have a certain amount of energy to put towards something. So like rats deliberately have bad teeth, right? Because if they had, they did a study. I'm sure I've talked about it, but
what they deliberately don't brush, they don't floss,
they don't do anything.
What's the benefit?
So rats deliberately have weak teeth.
More
and the
time
reason
to eat diapers and other crap on the ground.
They bred rats with strong teeth, but it found that they were less likely to survive because the calcium that they had devoted to their teeth instead meant their bones were weaker or some reason, right? So there's always a trade-off, right? Every animal has like a limited pool of, like, virus has only got a limited amount of pool to do either really infectious or really deadly, like not, I don't know. There's some sort of limits to what they can do, right?
I see.
And so in a sense, like there's this idea of, antibiotic resistance as a very scary thing, but there's only so many things that a bacteria can be resistant to, right? Because that takes a part of its energy to code that.
It's put some points into it. Yeah,
exactly. Right. So I feel like, and this could be bollocks, but I could be wrong here. But I feel like that's what they're trying to show in D&D. It's that, you know, you've got a limited amount of time. You know, if that guy is going to the gym every day, he's not reading books, is he?
Yeah, that's
he's not studying spells.
But
is he?
also, I think it's like it's all trade-offs to balance it. You know, you can't have somebody that can do it all, because then everybody would just want to be the guy that can do it all. You know,
right.
you wouldn't have any diversity. So you're meant to do it in a group too, so everybody brings their strengths, you know?
Yeah, I think it's also meant to lean down the kind of more extremes, you know, like the characters are supposed to have had some sort of backstory where they've spent their entire time as an orphaned waif on the streets of the city, and they've learned to blend into the shadows. You know, that's why they're able to.
Do you like to hear the word waif? That's
but I feel like D&D is kind of like I think like part of the charm of it and the appeal to some people is that you kind of make do. You know, it's not ideal. It's not always it's not always 100% efficient and ideal. You just sort of, you roll with it, you know? Yeah, you literally roll with it.
You're right. And this is why you see a lot of these games also have downsides to characters. Yeah. Characters come with weaknesses that you play with and are interesting.
Project Zomboid's character creation stuff is amazing for all that. You know, like people have like figured it out, and you know they're bound to. You know, there's negative traits that, you know,
you're like an asthmatic alcoholic
that cancel each other out and stuff. So, you know, you can get away with getting more positive traits. Like you can figure it out, but
anyone can game the game, but that's not what it's supposed to be for. It's supposed to be for
some of the downsides just make for a great story, you know? Like your guy is like a chain smoker and has to smoke like at least once every hour, and you forget to smoke before you're running away from a horde of zombies. And it's like, oh God, I could really do a smoke. You're running for your life, you know? Like it just adds to the flavor. I think it's fun.
Do you want to hear the definition of waif?
Yeah.
What is a waif to you? What do you think a waif is?
It's like a fey little London girl who has got like a little torn, dirty dress, and it's like, please,
you'd
sir,
say waifs and strays, so it's like,
you got a penny.
I think it's just like impoverished people who just end up on the street, but maybe before their time, like they're really young.
So a waif, from the Old French waif, which means stray beast, is a person removed by hardship, loss, or other helpless circumstance from their original surroundings.
Right.
The most common usage of the word is to designate a homeless, forsaken, or orphaned child.
Yes.
There you go.
Or someone whose appearance is evocative of the same. As such,
That
the term
one's
is similar.
Landing, and it's inbound from Kuwait.
No, it's leaving.
Oh,
It's leaving to Kuwait.
It's landing.
That sounded like a landing.
Let me
plane.
check.
Landing
Let me
today.
check. Let me check.
That was a lander.
No, that's taken off. Sorry. That was it.
Come on.
Heading
Where's
to
it going?
Kuala Lumpur.
Oh, okay.
very nice.
Yeah.
I wish I was on that plane.
Yeah. I wish you were too, you fuck.
Yeah.
Sorry, I don't mean that. I take it back.
Because I wouldn't be at this podcast.
I wouldn't have to see you next week when I come down.
Oh, that'll be good. That'll be
my
good.
God.
You're doing a little D&D next week, aren't you? You're going to do a little mystery quest, I think.
Yeah, I hope so. Yeah, I'm planning to with Mr. Thomas Angry Tom Clark.
It's definitely the hot ticket at the Yogs right now is to get invited to a mystery quest.
Oh yeah, I love it. It's great fun.
It's the most hot ticket item you can get if you get. All of us are like waiting in the wings for an invite to the exclusive club of cool people. It's funny how that is though. Like Tom is the coolest guy, and everyone wants to be his friend. And it's funny how
it wasn't
that happens.
always the case.
Even when you're in your 40s, do you know what I mean? It's still the same. It's like school. Tom
is very cool. He's a lot of fun to hang out with. And he's got a great demeanor of relaxation and chill.
Yes.
And I have seen Tom angry, but it's not often. I've made Tom angry occasionally. He's a guy that I like hanging out with and doing the games night stuff. I feel like he's an excellent DM. He really enjoys seeing where people go with stories and characters. And he's a great enabler as a DM. He's not like some DMs who try to sort of stamp themselves on the game and make it about them. And I'm not talking about anyone in the Yogs. I'm talking about like DMs that everybody knows a DM like this. Tom is excellent at.
I think I'm a bit like that.
Right.
I think I was a bit of a bad DM, and this is why I haven't really done much lately.
Yeah.
I think Tom's been doing it for years though, and he's very
good.
He knows how to keep everyone.
Mark Humes is allegedly a good DM as well.
Mark Humes is brilliant.
He is a very
really
good DM. Yeah, very, very good.
Yeah, really good. They know what they're doing. I think it's hard to not be the main character because everyone is sort of forcing.
We're streamers as well, we're streamers and YouTubers.
As the DM though, you are guiding people, and a lot of questions come your way. A lot of you have to do all the NPCs, you have to set all the scenes, you have to answer a lot of questions. And I think it's tricky to balance like getting your players to the thing that you've prepared for them, but also making them feel like they're choosing the way to go. It's
what the hardest thing I think, certainly when I used to DM, is that I would have what I thought was a really cool story and a really fun interaction and adventure, and they're going the wrong way. Don't go left. Why are you talking to that guy? And you're trying to drive them towards this.
That's right.
This really good
you
interaction.
Set up this elaborate plan and this really cool character and this really cool story, and there's like a little slime with a face or whatever, and they're like talking to the slime, and they're like they're adopting
how big is the slime? How big is the slime?
Like,
what color is the slime? I'm going to try and feed the slime food. You're like, guys, the slime was just. Now you're like, well, I've got
throwaway thing.
Fucking go in with the slime here because apparently they're obsessed with it. It's like that. And also, the very worst thing is when you set up, you just mention something in passing as like a piece of flavor for something in the room, and every single person in the party is hell bent on cracking what they think is this mysterious fireplace. It's just a fucking fireplace. Yes. And they're like, they're climbing up it.
I know, I can never accept it. I like when they're like, no, honestly, it is just a fireplace. There's nothing special about it. But is there? You always have to keep pushing it because you never know,
Yeah.
It's tricky as well because there's usually, with Tom's ones, some sort of mystery at the core, like some sort of twist or some sort of secret, right?
Mystery quest is the name of the game.
It's very hard to, because you're trying to solve that, but you don't want to like, thing is like, and Tom's like trying to give you hints to it, but nothing to give it away, because the last thing he wants to do is give away the twist too early, right? And so you are fumbling in the dark, and sometimes you feel real stupid when you realize what the twist is. You're like, oh God, we really should have noticed that. He gave us so many clues, and sometimes you think you figured it out, or you've figured it out like slightly wrong, and you're convinced that's the answer. And then when you get the real one, you're just like, oh, I'm confused. Do you know what I mean? Because then it's like, it's almost like an alternate explanation that does work, but isn't the truth. Yeah. Right. And that leads you to make these odd choices in the game, which get your character killed or something. And that could be quite frustrating.
Yeah.
So I think
I remember
it's
the first D&D adventure I ever did, Lulu. And my friend's older brother, he did Dungeons and Dragons with his friends. He was like 4 or 5 years older than us. And he agreed to Dungeon Master for us after we begged him for like weeks. Because we would just make characters. We just make characters all day long, making and equipping characters. We really wanted to fucking play. He was like, fine. And he had this adventure. And we were exploring this little ruined sort of few houses, little ruined village. And there was a fireplace, which is why this jumped to mind. And we were like, he told us, he's like, and there's a burned out fireplace here. And we look in the fireplace and we're like, is there any treasure in the fireplace? He goes, no, it's a burned out old fireplace. So I'm like, I'm going to look up the chimney and see if I can see anything. He's like, you can't see anything. It appears to be blocked. So me and my friend are like, oh, there's going to be treasure up there. So I get my sword and I poke around up there. And he's like, sighs and rolls some dice. He's like, right, yeah, all the stuff, the debris in the chimney falls down and you take this much damage. And he killed my character.
Well, this is one of the things that happened in the first... I remember I was very embarrassed about it at the time. We were doing the first Yogg's quest, which Tom wrote and planned for me.
Which one was the very first one? Was that the one that we did in the pub?
It was one where you were in it, yeah, in the pub. And I remember something happened and I killed one of you.
Did you?
Yeah, and Tom was like, no. Someone had done something stupid, and I rolled some dice, and I was like, you're dead, and your character's dead. And Tom came up to me, he was like, no. Do you know what I mean? He interrupted, and was like, don't do that. Like, that's not how you do this kind of thing. Because I really didn't know what I was doing, and I was like, kind of bad, honestly.
God, those are so long ago.
I think it was either because you were frustrating me or you were pissing me off or whatever.
Who, me?
Like you guys' characters. One of you. You were very annoying.
Jeez, thanks.
Yeah, I think I might have killed you actually, Sips.
I don't remember dying, but maybe.
Was it on the space one? Maybe it was on the Yogg's Quest 2, the space one, where I shot you. You like looked out of the window of a spaceship or something.
I did 3. I did the one in the pub. I did the spaceship one because I remember being really sick, and it was the night before we were going to BlizzCon for maybe the first time. I'm not sure. And then the third one I did was the remember we used to rent that little set warehouse place that had like the slopey wall. We did the prison zombie apocalypse prison one.
Oh,
I was a prisoner.
Yeah, I forgot about that one.
Forgot. Yeah, that was a
wow.
Yeah,
we used to do those.
Yeah, we used to do all the games night stuff there too. Remember, we used to play like Snake Oil.
Yeah, used to play Fun Employed and stuff. Yeah, that was real fun.
It was.
Well, I mean, that was at the old office. That was a long time ago.
That was very, very long ago.
It's funny funny the embarrassing moments that you remember that everyone else has probably forgotten. But I at the time I remembered, being really sort of red-faced at
God, for me, there's just been so many. I just don't even think I can feel embarrassed anymore.
I get these all the time. Like sometimes you get a memory triggered about something really embarrassing you did when you were a kid or when you were in school, and you're just thinking, oh, fuck, God. And you like almost like cringe in real life about how awkward you were.
Yeah.
They stick with you, those moments.
You get more of those as you get older, unfortunately.
All right, let's all think of an embarrassing moment, like a really embarrassing moment. That wasn't something awful, but something that'll occasionally comes back to you and you just cringe thinking about it.
Oh, God, I have so many. God. I have so many. I couldn't even pick one.
There was this bit where I was at a restaurant and there was a girl there who I was sitting next to, and she was, I think we were, I was kind of into her. I was single at the time. And
wait, how old are you in this?
Oh, like 29, 30, I want to say. This is during Yogg's. This is like 10 years ago.
Right. This is PY. This is PY.
This is like post Yogg's. This is like I should know better.
Right.
And we'd been chatting about what to order. And I sort of ordered a thing. And then I pointed to this girl and I said, "Oh, we'll share." And she looked at me like I'd made the decision for her. And I was like, instantly, I was like mortified because she just sort of, suddenly like I'm like pushing this onto her. Do you know what I mean? And it just like, it made it like really awkward because I wasn't sure. I was like, oh God. And I didn't want to go like, oh God, sorry. No, maybe we don't share. Sorry. Like dig a hole there. Yeah. I just kind of rolled with it, but felt like I'd really put my foot in it. And I think about how that from time to time. I remember we were walking away from the restaurant afterwards with everyone as a group. And she was like obviously trying to like distance herself from me.
Oh no.
And I remember she was like, oh, I'm going to have to get a cab. And everyone was like, bye, bye, bye. And I was like, oh, bye. And I sort of waved to her and she looked at me like one passing glance at me over her shoulder. And she was just like, I don't want to see you again kind of thing.
No.
That was like in her eyes. I was like, oh, cringe. But there were some other cringe things, just that we happened to mention. Like I was like, oh, do you want to like? I didn't want to. I think I was like, I said something along the lines of like, oh, how do you want to like? Do you have a Twitter account or whatever? And she's like, oh, no, I don't use Twitter. And I was like, oh, okay. Steam?
Steam.
Like, I mean, I was like trying to get her number in a way that was like not
the nerd's
awkward.
way to get a girl's number.
What's
my
your
God. Friend ID on Blizzard?
I'm just full of like cringe moments from that. They stick with you, right? And obviously she's probably forgotten about this, I'm sure.
I wonder if she has. That would be funny to get her side of it.
I'm sure she remembers cringier moments from that I think
everybody's got them though. Like, I mean, your journey from being
another person's
a baby to like for us being, in our 40s, getting close to 50s. God, there's a whole wake of cringe moments behind all of us, I'm sure. I don't think anyone knows what they're doing precisely at any really given point. You figure it out, and the process of figuring it out is you make some pretty big mistakes along the way. Hopefully not huge ones, but certainly ones that you look back on, you're like, oh my God, I can't believe like I said that, or I did that, or I thought that, like it's an evolution.
I remember one of the worst sort of cringy moments that I can think of was me giving my speech on my wedding day. Like when the groom has to stand up and you have to thank a certain group of people. That's like traditional. You thank, I think, the mother of the bride for the flowers or something like that. Like there's just various people that you thank.
Yeah.
And then you give a little speech and you crack on. And I did I was so scared of speaking in front of like even two people at that point. I was very, very shy, and standing up in front of all those people, I could just feel the sweat beading on my forehead instantly, and I could barely speak. I think I spoke for about 30 seconds at like a ridiculous pace, trying to get it over with. And as soon as it was done, I just sat down. It's like absolutely the worst fucking marriage speech ever. It was embarrassing.
That is really relatable.
I don't remember mine.
Like, I'm exactly the same. Like, going out every time I have to go out in front of anyone, even the groups here, and even after doing this for all this time, every time, like even before, like the I still get it a lot before the first Jingle Jam stream, like every year before the Jaffa Factory stream. My heart is like pounding. I'm like really nervous. Like going out at YogCon on stage every time, I would be absolutely shitting myself.
I think everybody was nervous at YogCon, really. I know that a lot of people that you think would be fine, being in a live audience, it is really different. I mean, because I've done it a lot with Dota and stuff, you do get used to it.
Yeah.
And you get into a mindset of you don't really think about where you are and what you're doing. So you almost ignore the fact that you're standing on a stage in front of hundreds or thousands of people, and that there might be tens of thousands of people watching. You just ignore all that. That's not happening. You're just saying things, and it's almost like you're watching from. Have you ever seen Being John Malkovich?
Yeah, I've seen it. I don't remember that movie at all, though.
Okay, well, when he's being John Malkovich, he's just sort of behind John Malkovich's eyes and watching what John Malkovich is doing and saying, and that's what it's like for me when I'm speaking on stage.
Oh my God, me too.
Yeah, I'm not me. I'm watching me say and do these things.
Somehow I'm sure a lot of people can relate to this as well. Like you practice your lines, you practice things you want to say, so much, and then you just hope that the autopilot says them.
Yeah,
you know,
you autopilot
because
through it. That's how
there's
it felt.
no like, and I think, do you know what? I think this is why we're always slightly late to live streams and things like this, right? Not
Oh no,
generally.
I don't think that's.
Okay, well here's the thing.
I think we're just a fucking tardy bunch of idiots, to be honest with you.
Well, I think
I get
sometimes when
tardier the further I go in life as well. I just
if I'm early to a live stream, right, and I'm sat there, or I'm backstage, I'm sat there for 5 minutes. They're like, "Yep, 5-minute warning, 5-minute warning,
Right.
4 minutes, 3 minutes," and I've got nothing to do. There's no one there. We're not chatting. We're not having fun. I'm just like thinking. I'm getting in my head.
my God.
It gets worse and worse and worse, right? And so I think that's why it's easier for me to turn up on time and go live straight away. Like oftentimes, our people will turn up exactly at the time the live stream starts. Like Duncan, Lydia, Ben, they will arrive in the office a minute before
Right.
5 o'clock.
Really?
Or they will aim to arrive in the office. And if there's any traffic, they're 5
I
minutes
like
late,
to get places like a little bit early, not like
I-
No,
not like
but I think
not
it's-
like an hour early, but like
I
I'd
think
like
so
I'd like to have
rarely,
like
like,
10,
yeah.
5-10 minutes just to like.
Part of it is because, though, I think that they avoid the discomfort of being there early and having to wait
Oh.
for the start.
See,
right?
for me,
And I
it's more
know-
like I just want to acclimatize. Like I've just been outside. So I just need to get used to being inside, like, when you come in from the
Yeah.
outside and your face is all fucking red and you're like
right.
panting because you've been exerting yourself and stuff. I just need like a minute to just sit down and
I
compose
just
myself.
hate being late. I fucking hate being late. I don't think I'm late. Generally, it's a very good reason if I'm late.
Yeah.
If someone's like, we need you there at 10, I'm there.
Yeah,
100%.
I'm usually pretty good for time. Like
Honestly,
very occasionally
yes.
I'll be late, but it'll always
All these
be
guys
there'll
are
always be a
actually
reason.
fine.
It wouldn't
I
be
mean, I will
like
say,
I accidentally
if we're
slept
talking
in or
about-
something.
you're not talking about the Triforce podcast here, are you?
Well, that I mean,
You're late like every time.
I know, but I think it's kind of accepted now that one of us is going to be running 5 or 10 minutes late. It's never like
Also,
that.
we're
Like,
all at home.
Yeah.
It's not like I'm meeting you at a place and waiting for
Yeah.
you. So,
This is another
my
thing,
kids are
though,
all
like,
small still, though. Too. I
yeah,
have a
exactly.
lot of shit to do.
You can't be like, I'll be there at
Yeah.
10. It's like, well, we'll see.
we talk about this a lot, and I think it's this is a symptom of Triforce. We almost always start at 5 or 10 past 10. We don't always start on the hour when we record,
yeah.
right? And I think it's almost because we all know that we're all going to plan to be here at 10, but something's going to come up, right?
Always.
And as a result, we end up actually very consistently starting within 10 minutes. It's actually the same with our main channel recordings. We aim to
oh
start
my God, those
we
are
aim
the
to start
fucking
at
worst.
11.
Everyone's
but
like,
we
be
tell
there
people
at
to turn up
11.
at-
So I get
No.
there at 10:30 and I'm ready to go. And there's always someone, Duncan, who turns up ridiculously late and wanders in like, hello, and hasn't set anything up and needs help with the. It drives me mad. It drives me mad.
It's not always Duncan. It's usually someone. Thing is, when we have these recordings with 8 to 10 people, as we have been done recently, someone's got some problem with their drivers, or
Yeah,
someone's got some
always.
problem
big
with
group recordings are always a nightmare.
their recording goes
Yeah.
wrong, and it's or someone's going to be late, and we usually try and have a substitute, but we don't always, and so we are very consistent for what we do, and I can either be things in my head. I say arrive at 10:30. That's when I will expect people to turn up. But I really, in my head, know that we're not going to start until 11.
Right.
And then if it starts getting to like 11:15 and we haven't started, then I'm going to get pissed off. Like the other day, I actually was really embarrassing. We did this recording with No Rolls Barred, right? And one of them, they're lovely, brilliant, funny, awesome guys, by the way, but they're not regular content creators. And so neither of them have like
Get 'em
a
out.
streaming, neither of them have a streaming computer or streaming PC.
What?
Neither
They have
of them
streaming table?
neither of them had streaming table. We should get them streaming table. Come to Rosvadov Casino and Bar. They can stream from here.
Stream from table. We have table.
Stream from table. It's table. So we neither of them had computers. God bless them. Neither of them had Minecraft accounts. God bless them. So we got them set up with Minecraft accounts and
Wait, they sound like normal, well-rounded people.
They are. Genuinely are. And of course, they come into this nonsense, which is our recording server with 10 people yelling over each other, and they're trying to get set up. Anyway, it gets to this point where one of them's working fine, and the other one, we just could not get Parsec working. We couldn't get him to join in any way. So I said to Silas, because we were half an hour over the time limit, I was like, Silas, dude, you've got to sort this out. We are like running. We're never going to, we have to just do something now. And he was like, and the problem is I broadcast that to everyone by accident. So me telling Paul Silas off went to everyone for a start, which I felt terrible about. And then the second thing was like, I was like, you're just going to have to be a surrogate for him, right? You're going to have to do the moving in the game. And he's going to tell you, you're going to have to play his character.
Oh, no.
So Silas was like a fucking blank doll. And the guy was telling him everything to do. And so it's like, say this to this person, you walk over here. It was kind of fine and funny, but like, I just felt like it was such a cack-handed solution to like dealing with a problem. It was like, we are like a group of problem solvers though. And so it's like, we want to get this guy to play with us in Minecraft, but he doesn't have Minecraft. So we'll get him there. So then he doesn't have this. So we get him this, and then he can't do this. So then we do this. And it's like the solutions just pile up because Nick and Silas were like behind the scenes. Like Nick's like, I can code this thing, which will send his voice through a virtual audio cable. I'm just like,
that's not how Nick talks. I can code this thing for you right now, Lou, baby. He's a good cunt, this Lewis, isn't he? I'll fucking knock that up for you, Lou, in Minecraft.
Minecraft.
In bloody Minecraft.
God love him. We've honestly had a great time lately with the recordings. We've been playing lots of different games. We've been sending lots of people off to different places. We've been...
Look, when we did the Blood on the Clocktower, people hated my performance in Blood on the Clocktower so much.
Did they?
The comments were so bad. Pyrion is a fucking idiot. Pyrion is ruining this. Watching Pyrion fumble around and lead everyone down the wrong path is killing me. I'm so bad at those games.
It makes such good viewing, though.
No, people hate it.
It's hard when hard when there's like an established group and you come in as a guest. Though there's always it's always tough because people are used to it being a certain way, and then if you come in and you don't know the game or you play differently or whatever, that you'll always get people that are like, this guy is ruining it.
You got to appreciate this. Always happens with Yogs. If there's a game that comes out that's actually any good, everyone plays it to death before we can get a video out, right? And that doesn't really help because a lot of times it means that this kind of happened with Blood on the Clocktower. The group we got a group of Discord friends who play it in the evenings, and they've played 500 games with each other. Do you know what I mean? They've played so many games, and so as a result, it's kind of like you've played 5 games. You're coming into a group of people who are way more experienced than you. And so I think that is the comparison. Not that you're bad; it's just that everyone else is more clued up. And to be quite honest, it's quite hard because we do a quite advanced script for these people. And I tend to give newer players an easier role, like a generic bad guy or a generic good guy. Like I'm not going to give them something which is insane. Although I did give you a more complicated role, to be fair to you, because I thought it would be funny. I thought, making you this confused role and seeing your confusion would be funny. And it was. Like, I think we are, at the end of the day, making content. And I think that having a dad bumble around, not realizing what's going on, is perfect. Your role was to cause confusion, and you did. And I think that people saying like, I'm feeling he played his role wrong. It's like, well, he was deliberately given the role to cause confusion. Like that's
I was
how
the
this
most
game
confused
works, right?
person in the whole game. Is the
I
thing.
know. But I love that game, and I love these games that we play with. They are very inclusive.
Yeah.
Hey, speaking of co-op games, if you guys are ever looking to do a fun 2-player co-op game, that Split Fiction is out. It's really good. It's
that's like
10
a
hours,
professionally
but
made.
it's like imagine like Portal 2 co-op. It's just like fun little problem solving.
Playing off the success of It Takes Two.
But loads of cool mechanics and stuff. Like the game is like 50 games in one sort of thing. It's really fun. It's worth a playthrough if you have somebody that you can play it with.
Lads, there's an absolute monster about to go over. Listen to this fucker brewing up. Can you hear that?
Is that a 380? Is that like a real?
That's a fucking 380.
Yeah,
baby.
you can hear it. It just sounds
this thing
like
is
the intake.
So
I'm surprised you haven't like flown out of the roof of your house. Like
it just gets sucked into the
sucked
sky.
in, yeah.
Okay,
if that's an A380 and it's just taken off, that bad boy is heading to like Hong Kong or something.
Well, reasonably close, Singapore.
Okay.
Oh,
Singapore, yeah.
that was that second guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. God, I wish I was on that.
I've been to Singapore. I
I'm
went
just
a
going to
couple
keep
of years
making
ago.
that.
Would you
It
recommend
was
it?
the same comment.
Oh, Singapore was beautiful.
Okay, have you
Really,
ever
Singapore's
been? Have you ever
great.
been to Edinburgh
Yeah.
before?
Yeah.
Is it worth going?
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
What
it's
about
great.
Glasgow?
No.
I've not been to Glasgow. Well, I did when I was very much younger, but we were just traveling through.
Okay.
Ask Ravs about it.
Yeah. Well, Ravs, I know.
You don't want
I
to
know-
go to Glasgow.
No, Ravs
No.
would say that it's better than Edinburgh because he's from there, right? He's
Edinburgh shite.
Well,
that's what
he
he
would
would
say that, but then if you ask him, should you go? Which one should you go to? He might have a different answer.
right. Okay.
You know, because he likes you.
Okay. So, and then what about Dublin?
There's patriotism, and then there's the chance of getting your friend stabbed.
Do you
know?
like heroin? If so, go to Glasgow.
What about Dublin, and what about like Belfast? Do you think that those are places?
So my mate lived in Belfast for a year, and I think Mrs. F's been there. It's okay. It's quite a depressing place because it's quite concretey and run down.
Right.
From my experience, anyway, from what people have told me, it's not a particularly pretty city. Apologies to anyone from
Belfastians.
Belfast who's appalled by that comment. I'm sorry. Dublin is much prettier. Dublin is really, really
Right.
lovely.
I think Dublin's very nice.
I have
been meaning
lived
to go
in
actually.
the British Isles for over 20 years,
Right.
and I've never been to Scotland. I've never been to Wales, and I've never
Yeah.
been to Ireland.
Yeah, but I mean, you've probably
Wow.
never been to the end of your road. You don't leave the house.
I've been to the end of my road. Okay, couple
Which
of
end?
times.
Both ends?
sides, yes.
Okay,
I have
fair
been.
enough.
Both sides.
Yeah, both
Okay.
ends.
Is there a bit of your road that you've never walked on?
Yeah, because the road that I live on kind of twists up. It heads like deep into the countryside eventually,
Right.
and twists around and stuff. So I don't know if I ever have been to the far end of my road.
I
But,
think
so-
I probably have.
One
There's
one
bits
end
of
definitely
pavement.
ends, and then the other one just goes like forever,
Right.
like across the whole
I
island.
remember one time I came to the island, I cycled around the whole island. This was when I was into cycling.
Yeah.
And I feel like I explored more of the island in one day than Sips has in the 20 years that he's
Oh,
lived there.
I don't know. You'd be surprised. I haven't been around on a bike, but I have driven down some pretty treacherous green lanes and stuff. I've been
Okay.
around. I've done my
All right.
He's
fair
done
share.
his
done your-
tour. He's done
I've
his
had
tour.
to drop people
All right.
off at birthday parties out in the middle of nowhere and
Wow.
and work
Out of the middle of
dues and
nowhere on Jersey.
had to pick people up and stuff. I think I've driven around this place so much that I could be a fairly good taxi driver over here.
Oh,
I think
right.
I'd be able to do it. I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
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 You got to have a book though. There are a lot of like little lanes that like nobody knows about. You have to. There's like
Need a book.
Cole's like a cheat sheet book that the taxi drivers use to find places that they've never heard
Oh,
of before.
I thought they had to
Yeah,
have it all
just
no
sat
memory.
nav, no? I mean,
Well,
just use
there's
your phone.
sat nav is now, but
That's cheating.
right.
I think they use a combination of the two because some of them are like old school. You know, they're like
yeah.
technophobes.
Right. I want to be one of those guys. Yeah.
So that plane that took off, do you remember the one that was going to Singapore?
Yes.
It's
Right.
already
in Singapore. Made it. Oh my
Wow.
god. It's such
it's
a
already
huge
flown
plane.
over the whole
Do
of
we have a
London.
blackout? Like, we are getting old, but like,
It's literally already flying. It's already over London. It's way past London.
Yeah, well, it would
It's
be. They're
amazing,
fast.
isn't
it?
They go like 600
they're in the sky.
miles an hour.
Yeah,
or
but so
something.
they
It's
they
insane.
can't go maximum speed until they get up above
Right.
the clouds, and it's they don't just sort of hoik it back and just gun it straight up. You know, it's like a slow acceleration. If I remember rightly from watching YouTube channels by pilots, when they're over, like after takeoff, they have to sort of bring the engine down a bit because you don't want to be like full bore over towns and cities. It'd be too loud
Yeah.
and obnoxious. So
Yeah.
they sort of coast up to their 35,000 feet, and then they're fucking
and then
moving it.
they rip it. They
Yeah.
just let it fucking
That's the
rip up there.
command. The pilot says, "Fucking rip it." And they're just like,
Fucking rip it, dude.
Fucking rip it.
Engaging rip, dude.
Rip engaged, bro. Sick.
Oh man.
Did I tell you guys about my disappointing meal I had the other week? I can't remember. I spoke about it on stream, but I didn't. I don't know if I told you guys about it.
No, the only you talked a lot about, you did the bingo, the Gordon Ramsay's Kitchen Nightmares bingo,
Right.
and then spoke a little bit, I want to say condescendingly to us about how you love food so much and you're good at making it, and we're idiots because we don't.
I did not. I don't believe I
prepare
called you
a lot of
guys
food.
idiots.
I think you
said
were
that.
insinuating, though, that
No, I think I was
It was
insinuating
implied.
that certainly. I apologize if that's the case. I apologize.
I'm just yanking your crank here. I'm not.
Oh, I
I'm just
see.
joking. Yeah,
Okay,
I'm pulling your chain.
But did I tell you that I found myself giving a Ramsey-style review of a restaurant while I was in it?
Oh my
No,
god!
you didn't tell
What
us
the
that.
fuck?
No.
So I've watched so much of Kitchen Nightmares over the last couple of weeks, and I've been doing the bingo for them. I've done like 40 episodes bingo now, and we know the format of the show down to an absolute T. And what I was doing was, what?
Carry on.
Is it because of the planes taking off?
Did
No,
you
I'm
just like wander into the back kitchen and start?
I'm just pre-laughing at this
start
idea of
throwing,
you,
like containers
you
around. and
doing
stuff.
an episode
The fuck is this shit?
in the restaurant
What
with
the
your
fuck
family.
is that? Oh my god! So I was eating the meal, and when Gordo comes into the restaurant and eats the meal for the first time, he's like, "It's bland, dry, not fresh. Such a shame." And then the girl comes to take it away. He goes, "Thanks, darling." He goes, "Thank you, darling. I'll have the next dish. Thank you." He goes, "Let's hope something improves. That was terrible." Then I was doing that. Like my daughter's like, "Oh, my chicken's dry," and I ate it. And I was like, "It's bland. No seasoning." And I really felt like I was embodying Gordo. But it was, I didn't say anything to them. But then when the server comes at the end to, "How was your meal?" Because I had left quite a bit and my daughter had left quite a bit. Mrs. F and her brother had, eaten a decent amount of what they'd ordered. And he was like, "How was it?" I was like, "Honestly, very disappointing." And he's like, "Oh." And he says, oh, hold on a minute. And he goes off and gets a pen and paper. He goes, "Please tell us. We want all the feedback is important." And I was like, "Okay."
Jesus.
So I spent like 3 minutes just running down all this shit that was wrong with this meal. And then my daughter's chipping in and saying that as well. And he's writing it all down. He takes it to the manager. Takes it to the manager who's right there. And she looks at the list, looks at me, and just turns away. Doesn't come over and say anything.
P-flat.
He asked.
Guys,
Sorry.
I have to step away for 2 seconds. I'm so sorry. I'll be right back.
Sorry, but
The thing is, he called your bluff, right? You were like,
no,
one
I
ever...
called his bluff.
Well, actually, that's true. Your thing is like, if you do say it's fairly disappointing, then he comes back with a notepad and paper, and you're like, "Oh god, I don't have time to fucking tell him everything that was wrong with my meal." I told him because you don't want to come out with something like exactly you called his bluff, but the thing is, like, if he came back with that notepad and you'd been like, "Oh, well, it wasn't very salty, or it wasn't very nice." Like, that's how is he supposed to write that? He could almost just give you but you giving him all the stuff.
Oh, I broke down the entire meal. I had eggs Benedict. And I said to him, "This isn't even on a muffin. This is just the bottom of a burger bun. That's just raw. It's raw. It wasn't toasted or anything. It was just like, take the bottom of a burger, slap it on a plate. That's it. And it had the ham on top was not a nice thick cut of ham like a ham steak you'd expect for eggs Benedict. It was just the kind of ham you'd get like wafer thin ham from a pack at Tesco's. It was like that.
Oh no, that's bad.
Poached egg on top. The egg was done fine. And then the hollandaise sauce was really sour. Like, it tasted like it had come from a packet. And I made this point to him and he was like, "Oh." And then my daughter had...
Come over here. Sorry. Simon, do you want to just...
Lewis, you got to play Minecraft with me, Lewis.
Simon wants me to play Minecraft with him.
Okay.
I'm translating.
Play Minecraft with me, Louis. Please. Give me Minecraft. Jaffa Factory.
We're overrunning.
It's my birthday today, Lewis.
Happy birthday.
Is it your birthday? Happy birthday.
Pyrian says happy birthday.
Thank you, Pyrian.
Happy birthday, mate. Yeah.
Sip's here.
He's had to pop away for a minute.
Oh, I'm sure he did. He did.
He heard you come and he legged it.
Yeah, because he wants to be the centre of bloody attention.
Oh, tell me about it.
And he can't be if I'm the birthday boy.
Exactly. All right, well, Lulu, we'll let you go then, mate, if you've got to do Minecraft with the birthday boy.
We'll go. All right, thank you.
Do a goodbye.
I've loaded Minecraft up. Look, I've got it. Look, you're not in the server. We'll cut the podcast here. I haven't done loose news, but will have to be for next time.
We'll do it next time. We'll do it next time. News. Yeah.
All right, thank you, everyone.
Goodbye.
We'll see you next time. Goodbye. Sips isn't even back.
No, he's not. It's all right. Just goodbye. There you go.
Goodbye.